radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio for the masses. Today's Thursday, March 6th, 2021. 126 days into the new year. Only 239 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. How you doing? How you doing? JT and Twitter just said honk honk. How you doing, JT? Out there getting it done. Trucking in Indy. That's what I'm talking about. It's just over on YouTube as well. Back over in Twitter land. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? How you doing? I'm going to let everybody know there's been a sighting. There's been a sighting. That's right. You want to see it? You probably do. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. I just tweeted out just a few minutes ago, there's been a sighting, and I've got it. I got the picture up. It's right there. You want to see it for yourself? There has been a sighting. Seriously. It's right there on Twitter. It's right there. It's right there. Show me the love. Show me the love. Show me the love. Right there. At JChurch Radio. Follow me on Twitter. All right. Wow. What a night. What a week. What a week. What a week. Just what an unbelievably great week here on Fade to Black. And tonight, no Fader night. Some of you may be tuning in. Maybe you haven't read the headlines. You don't know what's going on tonight. Tonight, no Fader night. No Fader night. And I was just over on YouTube, and I can't get enough of the YouTube chat. I'm fully addicted, man. I'm fully addicted to the YouTube chat. Anyway, so it popped up. Hey, man, what's up with the disappearing house? You're going to do that tonight. That was for Fader night. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to squeeze the disappearing house into the show tonight. I'm going to figure out a way to do it. So we'll see when Linda and I wrap up. Sometimes we go all the way to the end of the show. Most of the times we do. If we don't tonight, I will do the disappearing house at the end of the show. Or maybe I can weasel the disappearing house into Linda's conversation. But if I do that, then that takes away from Linda. That ain't right. That ain't right. It'll take me a full segment to tell that story. So let's see. We'll see. We'll see. But that's what happens with the YouTube chat, man. I'm just fully addicted, man. Fully addicted. All right, did everybody go and check it out? There is a sighting. There is an official sighting. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's all you got to do. And you will see the image. It is right there. I want to know your comments. I want to know what you think. Do you think that's real? Do you think that's real? Yeah, at JChurchRadio. Head over to Twitter. Look at the image. It's right there. It says, there's been a sighting. Seriously. Okay, it's right there. I want everybody to go and check that out. It's official. There has been a sighting. All right. Tonight, Linda Moulton Howe joins us. We are going to be doing all of the breaking news. We've been breaking the breaking news all week this week on Fade to Black. And with the guests this week and getting their insights on all of the breaking news has been very, very interesting, very diverse opinions and thoughts about what is going on. And tonight it's Linda. So we're going to be doing that. And of course, she's got all of her important stuff over at Earthfiles too. And we'll probably get into some of that tonight as well. It's always great when Linda is here. It's always great. She appreciates the Fade or Not. She appreciates the show. And she loves to come over here and hang out. And it's always great. Man. And tonight, I was thinking about this. Does anybody remember? I'll watch Twitter here. Do you remember? I don't know if it was the last show or a couple. No, it must have been about a year ago when Linda was on and we went off somehow. Well, we always do, but went off into this other direction about the 60s and demonstrations and her first assignments over in San Francisco and what happened to her in that protest and that march and with the police. And then there was that story was incredible, right? And the batons and what she went through. That was just an incredible experience. Anyway, but then it was her story about Jimi Hendrix. You guys remember that, all right? Well, tonight I'm going to whip out in a couple of minutes here another story about the 60s, 1967 specifically, and the Pentagon, which you may not know about. And I have to ask Linda tonight if she remembers this. Okay, so kind of mental note to self to remember that. And I'm going to see if I can get to that tonight. All right, so no Fader Night tonight. Nope. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Linda will be with us at the bottom of the hour. Hashtag F2B is the sandbox. If you want to come and hang out with us. Of course, there is the there is the chat going on over at YouTube. I can't click on that anymore. It's just YouTube is too funny. I had a good time last night. That was a lot of fun. And then, of course, we have the chat rooms over at Spreaker and KGRA, everything going on Facebook, too, as well. Next week, I want to do an AMA. I'm going to try to squeeze that in. We've got a full week lined up, but I just want to get to an AMA involving Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and, of course, Spreaker. So that is another thing I want to do next week. All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the breaking news. And this is getting crazy, by the way, crazier by the minute. The Chinese Long March 5B rocket module is expected to crash to Earth this Saturday, May 8th. Now listen to me. And the targeted areas include most of the United States, Latin America, as well as Africa, Australia, and South Asia. One strip across the world. The locations that are pretty much totally in the clear at this point are Canada, Russia, and most of Europe. The northern side, Spain, no, they're in the mix. But Portugal's right on the edge. But most of Europe is in the clear. The Long March 5B was used to launch the first module of Chinese first ever space station into low orbit last week. While it successfully detached from the payload, it did not maneuver into safe deorbiting path, and then all of that was planned for a controlled re-entry. And it's been tumbling down towards Earth ever since. The Pentagon says, now listen to me, the Pentagon says that the U.S. Space Command and Space Force are tracking the expended rocket, but there were no plans to shoot it down at this time, which means there are plans to shoot it down. They're just not doing it right now. The latest updated modeling from Aerospace Corporation for reentry shows late Saturday night over the United States, specifically the Midwest, like Chicago through New York City, Manhattan. The prediction is holding steady at this point, and the error margins are shrinking. It's looking like Saturday night, the United States. Incredible. The 2,000-year-old marble head of Augustus, Rome's first emperor, has been discovered in Esernia, an Italian town in the south-central region of Molise. Archaeologist Francesco Giancola made the discovery during restoration works to repair this medieval wall that collapsed in strong rains back in 2013. The 14-inch high head, and it's incredible too, by the way, has been dated to between 20 BC and 10 AD. And they are looking for the rest of the statue. The rest of the statue is missing. And they think that that statue is somewhere around 6.5 feet tall. Incredible. The pictures are amazing. Well, lawmakers, this is incredible. This really got me thinking weird thoughts today. Weird. Because lawmakers in South Carolina have now approved legislation that will make death by firing squads a legal option for capital offenders. An option for you. All right? You've got the conviction, you can make a choice. Passed in a 66-43 House vote yesterday, the law will permit death row inmates to choose execution by firing squad or electrocution if lethal injection drugs are not available. Having already passed through the state Senate, the bill only needs to be signed by Governor Henry McMaster, who already said he's got pen in hand. He is ready to sign. And lastly, don't forget, Elon Musk is hosting Saturday Night Live this, Saturday. And it's live. And it's during the Chinese surprise party with special guest, the Long March 5B. So we got that going for us this weekend. Should be great stuff. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, George Clooney. George Clooney says he's 60. I'll go with it. I started thinking about this today. And you look at George Clooney's movies and, Ocean's 11 and whatever. Yeah, okay, all right. But he's made some amazing movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, right? Solaris. People don't talk about Solaris. They need to watch Solaris. Burn After Reading. Happy birthday, George Clooney. Bob Seger, the great Bob Seger, today is 76. And I was, playing my Bob Seger stuff here in the studio today. I was doing Pantera too. I was doing Dime Bag. But Bob Seger today, and I went right down the list, man. I did Night Moves, Turn the Page, Hollywood Nights, Against the Wind. And I stopped right there and I thought, man, that right there. Those 4 songs, that's all Bob needs to play. He's retired now. But that's a show right there. It's just those 4 songs off the stage. Elton John guitarist Davy Johnstone today is 70 years old. Our dead guy's birthday today is, I need a moment of silence for this. Robbie McIntosh, 1950 to 1974, died at the age of 24. Robbie was the drummer and founding member of the Average White Band. Robbie died of an accidental heroin overdose at a party following a concert at the Troubadour here in Los Angeles, when he and fellow band member Alan Gorey took what they thought was cocaine, but was in fact heroin. Gorey was saved by the intervention of Cher. That's right, Cher was at this party, who kept him conscious long enough to recover. The party host, 30-year-old millionaire Kenneth Moss, was subsequently indicted for murder by a grand jury. Moss pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter and was only sentenced to 120 days in jail and 4 years probation. Unbelievable. Robbie, I hope you're listening, man. Happy birthday. Robbie was just 24 years old. On this day in history, 1937, the airship Hindenburg, the largest Zeppelin ever built and the pride of Nazi Germany, burst into flames upon touching its mooring mast in Lakehurst, New Jersey, killing 36 passengers and crew members. Fader fact. All right, here you go. This is for Linda Moulton Howe later on tonight. Fader fact. In 1967, thousands of hippies high on acid gathered in Washington, D.C., and attempted a ritual to levitate the Pentagon 300 feet in the air to end the Vietnam War. It didn't work. And that is your Fader fact. Tonight, very special guest Linda Moulton Howe is here, joining us for all of the breaking headlines that have been going down. You know, I was talking to Linda, talked to her a few times this week, and this is earlier today. She goes, "So, Jimmy, what do you want to talk about?" She starts laughing, and it was real. I said, "Linda, are you being serious?" She goes, "Well, I just assume we're going to go boom, 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 boom," and the laughter. She's like, "This is the craziest." I said, "Linda, it's going to be a great night tonight." It sure is. And I just cannot wait for the bottom of the hour. We're going to have Linda Moulton Howe as our guest. No Fader night tonight. No open lines. Not going to do it. Can't do it. Linda's here. All right, let me hit this River Moon coffee. Tried to levitate the Pentagon. High on acid. High on acid. I wonder how many actually thought the Pentagon levitated. Yeah. Rivermoonwellness.com. Promo code F2B Blend. That's right. Best coffee in the world. Absolutely the best. All right. I was drinking some River Moon with some friends yesterday. They were going, "Man, this is..." I said, yeah, it is. What makes it so different? I went through the whole spiel. Did everything. Man, yeah. You don't hype this enough. I said, man, I'm told that all the time. That I don't hype it enough. It's that good. It really is. All right, let me hit it again. All right, it's time for a little history lesson. I like to do this once in a while. We're going to do it again right now. But this is really interesting. And I talked yesterday about, the space age, the 1950s, and how incredible that must have been. Forbidden planet, right? Think about that. And how I feel like we're living in the future now. Elon Musk, Blue Origin, Perseverance, Ingenuity, UFOs, UAPs, the Pentagon. We're living in the future. And now I want to talk about computers tonight. The semiconductor industry's constant challenge is to make microchips that are smaller, that are faster, that are more powerful and energy efficient, and trying to do that all at the same time, simultaneously. I remember the 486. There are people right now listening going, oh, I don't know what that is. Well, okay. But I remember the 486. I remember the 386. The chips. You know, the 486 is coming along, and then there was this big rumor. Man, the next chip, man, it's the big one. It's called a Pentium. I remember that. Introduced by Intel, 1993, and I thought that was like the end-all, be-all to computers. Because right after that, you know, the Pentium got better, but then Windows 95 and off to the races, right? That's when Moore's Law started to become a trend in conversations. Everybody was talking about Moore's Law. Because back in 1965, Gordon Moore, the co-founder of Intel, made this observation. He said, the number of transistors on a microchip doubles every 2 years, though the cost of computers is cut in half. That was Moore's Law. Okay? Now, all of this really seemed quite easy back in 1965, if you think about it, because things were still big. Computers were big, you know, cutting, you know, room-sized computers in half and then half and half. I don't think they were imagining this back in 1965, but there you go. Okay? Things were still big, but when you have and double things every couple of years, double the speed, double the transistors, cut computers half the size. Eventually, you've got to get to nano, right? Like seriously, quantum. Today, experts agree that computers should reach the physical limits of Moore's Law at some point in the next couple of years. And then, well, that's it. So here we are, 50 years later, and Moore's Law has held pretty steady. But physics has started to catch up with the reality that we just can't make chips any more small. That's it. The transistors and circuits are down to the atomic scale. The question is, how small is small, right? Well, we thought that the glory days of faster, smaller, cooler, and better were finally at an end. But earlier today, IBM announced it has created a 2-nanometer chip, the smallest, most powerful microchip ever. Now, before we continue, we have to discuss something. What is a nanometer? Well, it's 1/billionth of a meter. That's 0.000000001 of a meter. The nanometer is often used to express dimensions on the atomic scale. For example, the diameter of a helium atom is about 0.06 nanometers. And a single ribosome is about 20 nanometers. That's right. This new microchip using a scale 1/10 of the size of a single ribosome. Most computer chips powering devices today use 10 nanometer or 7 nanometer process technology. Apple's got a new 5 nanometer chip, but they're the only one doing that, with some manufacturers getting that small. Okay, now, when comparing 10 or 7 nanometer chips to 2, well, you get the idea. It's a huge leap forward for the components used to power everything in your world. And quite honestly, nobody saw this coming. But we all know that the way to improve a chip's performance is to increase the number of transistors, the core elements that process data, without increasing overall size. The new 2-nanometer chips are roughly the size of a fingernail and contain 50 billion transistors, each about the size of 2 strands of DNA. To put this in perspective, the 1993 Intel Pentium was 20 times the size with only 3.1 million transistors. And it got hot, and it used up lots of juice. The new chip is expected to achieve 45% higher performance and about 75% lower energy usage. And if you think about it, and that's to the smallest chips. That's to the smallest 7 nanometer chips today. With 2 nanometer chips, cell phone batteries could last 4 times longer. Laptops turn into Ferraris. Okay? The carbon footprints at data centers, they're going to be slashed as they acquire these more energy efficient chips. Having more transistors will allow more innovations related to artificial intelligence and encryption, among other things, to be added directly onto the chips. The 2 nanometer chips are expected to go into production starting in late 2024. IBM doesn't make chips. Nope. Instead, they will increase and license the production of its 2 nanometer processor technology to other chip makers. Now, I like to over-tip. That's what I do. I love to tip. I love to over-tip. I love to over-tip everyone. It's what I do. I'm a tipper. So here's your tip for today. Buy IBM stock. That's right. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black tonight, right here. Linda Moulton Howe. We've got so much to discuss tonight. It's going to be a great show. Love it when Linda stops by. I am your host, Jimmy Church. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can see my sighting. You can see the picture. It's right there at JChurchRadio on Twitter. You can follow Linda on Twitter at Earthfiles, like you didn't know that. I am your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all Rivermoon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthetea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthetea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthetea.com. Getthetea.com. The tea that makes you go.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey. You're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great week on the show. Tonight, Thursday night, our last night. Tonight's my Friday. And what a way to cap off the week. Tonight, Linda Moulton Howe is here. And she's joining us to discuss everything UFO, UAP, that is happening right now around the world. It's been a crazy week for the subject. It's been a crazy month. It's been crazy times. And tonight, we'll also wrap up all of the headlines with Linda from Earthfiles as well. Of course, Linda is a graduate of Stanford University with a master's degree in communication and has received local, national, and international awards, including 3 regional Emmys, a national Emmy nomination, and a Station Peabody Award. Linda produces and reports and edits Earthfiles.com. And, of course, she hosts her live YouTube show each week. I think she did it last night, as well as being on Ancient Aliens since its first season. Now, here we go. Linda has traveled to Venezuela, Peru, Brazil, England, Norway, France, Switzerland, the Netherlands, Yugoslavia, Turkey, Ethiopia, Kenya, Egypt, Australia, Japan, Canada, Mexico, the Yucatan, and Puerto Rico for her research and productions. I am out of breath. I would like to welcome back the one and only Linda Moulton Howe. Linda, good evening.
I love to hear you do that. And it's almost as fun as doing all of the trips to all of those countries. And I think back about how our lives were so integrated in so much travel in around this planet, and what has happened in a year and a half for us all to turn into islands. It almost seems impossible, doesn't it?
It does, Linda. It does. And you know what? I want to turn back the Wayback Machine for a second before we start the show. I read today, I had never heard about this, and it's my Fader fact tonight. Do you remember in 1967 when Timothy Leary got thousands of what they called hippies, thousands of hippies in Washington, D.C., they all got high on acid and did a ritual to levitate the Pentagon. They tried to levitate it 300 feet in the air. Do you remember that?
Well, vaguely. I would have been in my second year at Stanford University working on my master's, And we had as much action going on between Berkeley, San Francisco, and Palo Alto that had the ingredients of the conflict or the contradiction between some of the scientists like at Harvard who were almost pushing the idea of expanding your consciousness with drugs.
Right.
And I think that I do remember something, and it was related to an Indian Maharaji or a guru.
Yes.
Yes, and he had done something with a small building, or that was the comparison. That was the reason why they tried to lift up the Pentagon.
I couldn't believe it. And I was looking at the pictures, and it looked like, 5,000 people outside of the Pentagon. And they brought in the guru, and it was Leary and that whole cadre of, acid gurus. And there you go. And I had never heard that. And I looked at all the documentation today, and they really tried to do it. They thought that they were going to be successful.
Right. And I remember something that is definitely worth sharing. My first season at Stanford University was the fall of 1966, and it went from 66 to 68, and I had been involved with sit-ins against the Vietnam War, where in one case, in October of 67, I think it was, there were 30,000 people who gathered in Berkeley. And I was covering for the Stanford Chaparral. I was with 4 of my classmates, and they were stringing for TV stations. We were all working, covering this. And that at that period of time, a friend of mine in my class, I was the only girl in a class of about 27 guys and me at Stanford working on this master's degree. And some of us we had wonderful times. We played sports together. We would make movies together. It was really a close group. And one day, this really dear guy friend, he came to me and he said, "Listen, I want you to listen to me. Don't you ever, under any circumstances, take acid." And I'm looking at him. I never was tempted, but what happened? And then he pulled up the sleeves on the shirt that he was wearing, and he said, "Look at my arms." And they were scratched with blood tracks. I said, "What happened?" He said, "It's me. I did it to myself this weekend. I went on a lark, and I was with a group, and we were in a place in San Francisco, and we were taking acid." And he said, and suddenly I felt like I was completely covered by some kind of weird beetle or insect. And Linda, I tried to scratch them off, and this is what I've done. And he said, "I'm heading over to they had a medical facility at Stanford." He said, "That's where I'm headed now." And then he said again, looking right at me, he said, "Promise me you will never, ever take acid." And there was that sense that those 2 years between 66 and the end of 68 going to 69, it was where in the beginning, everything that we were doing at Stanford, going into San Francisco every weekend to dance and do all kinds of fun things, there was this beautiful innocence. And then by the second year, my understanding is that the mafia from New York had moved in, and they were trying to carve up all of the drug activity that was beginning to overwhelm. In the first year, there was very little. It was more like part of the fun of being up at 2 o'clock in the morning in San Francisco, where people were literally handing you flowers. People were singing. It was dreamlike that first year, nothing ever before or since. And I got to meet and actually talk to some extent with Grace Slick in the Jefferson airplane, and some of the people when we were at the Fillmore, where the whole stage was a speaker. And probably we ended up damaging our ears to some extent in all of those weeks there. But the greatest musicians in the world were playing, and it was just so fun. And then, as it often seems on this planet, things begin to sour and curdle when somebody moves in to make money off of. And that second year is when so many people actually died taking acid and all of that, and my friend did not want me to be involved with any of that, and I didn't want to either. But it just shows you what acid can do.
Yeah, for a second there, you can go ahead and laugh. But for a second there, I thought you were going to say, Jimmy, the first time that I took acid. Right?
No. No.
I was
never.
Bracing myself for that one. I was just bracing myself. Yeah, and it was just an amazing thing for me to read today. And I thought, I have to ask Linda, because she was at Stanford. She was in journalism. She was on top of everything, what was going on nationally and around the world. And she has to remember this. It was just such an incredible photograph, this aerial photograph of the Pentagon with this attempted ritual. It was just incredible. Now, okay, so let's actually start off here, because I was thinking, especially with having you on the show tonight, and I asked Richard Dolan this question last week, Linda. So I wanted to ask you, where we've been through the ebbs and flows, the valleys, the mountains, the ups and downs of UFOs and what is going on. We've been through a lot in the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, for those that have been through this. But,
70 years.
Yeah, right.
World War II.
I'm not that old, but
meaning the arc of the story definitely emerges in World War II.
And I've been at this for 40 or 50 years. I'm 58. Okay, so I've been on this subject for a while, and so have you. But this year, right? Not going back to 2017. Let's just talk about the now. It's pretty nuts. Have you ever felt it quite like this, where it's like tangible?
I keep calling it revolutionary, because this is the feeling to me when something is about to crack open, and it becomes palpable to the kind of the gestalt of everybody beginning to feel something is happening, something is moving. And that is in the new Making Contact book that Alan Steinfeld, that you know and is a good friend of ours, has edited with having 12 of us come together in this new book that has been released and is now the #1 title in the UFO section of Amazon.com. And the quote in the beginning of Making Contact, there is only one thing more powerful than all of the armies in the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. That was Victor Hugo.
Right.
And that's what this feels like, that they can't, the they are the power brokers, the they are the power keepers. They cannot keep this contained anymore. The population of the whole Earth in 2 hemispheres, with large bodies of countries like India that has always talked about there being the Vimanas were round craft in the sky, and that there were the blue-skinned god beings from someplace else in the cosmos. That is a huge, huge part of the history in relationship to other intelligence. And now it seems to me that they've got to open this up, because we are going to have people going to Mars. As far as I know, we have interstellar trade routes that have been going on since 1972. There's so much that has developed outside of the human family. It's unfair. It is abusive. And right now, they've got to bring the family of humans up to speed about the fact that we're not alone. We never have been alone, and that, in fact, Homo sapien is a genetic manipulation of evolving primates by something that we now call extraterrestrial biological entities.
Every time that subject comes up with you and in my mind, and somebody wants to contest that, I immediately respond with the facts, which is 200,000 years ago, we just appeared. That's it. That's it. We just appeared. There is nothing else in the fossil record that would suggest we evolved. We just appeared here, Linda, and I need help with understanding that if I'm wrong.
Well, I'll give you my understanding from talking with several different whistleblowers who have worked in the CIA. And if I have to cough, there is something about the drought in Albuquerque. Brad, who works with me, is going through the same thing. The air now is full of pollen, and there is no water to get it down. And so everybody who has allergies, it's really tough. So forgive me. I will try not to cough very often. But here is the timeline that has been described to me. And this is a person that, of all the people who have held positions and that I've seen documents and IDs and all after they retired, that was the most important discussion in my professional career, and that was in December of 1999. He had been an analyst with the Defense Intelligence Agency, and his job, as he described it, was to monitor and analyze competing 3 extraterrestrial civilizations on this planet who had been for 270 million years, had been competing in using Earth as a laboratory, and that what all 3 did was mix and match DNA to create all kinds of life forms, and that part of that experimentation and conflict was standing up primates. Now, the way our science says that 2 million years ago is the first time that Homo erectus stood up in Africa. Homo erectus would then be number 1 manipulation. And then subsequently there have been a series that have included the Denisovans and Neanderthalensis and others, and then you get to us, Cro-Magnon, Homo sapien sapien, and that this particular model came out of a crossfade 45,000 years ago with Neanderthalensis. The question there is, that was a large-brained humanoid, had a cubic space in the skull that is bigger than Cro-Magnon Homo sapien sapien. By studying where Neanderthals lived, they have discovered that they did put flowers on the graves of their dead, which means that they had some emotional sentience about the living and the dead, and they respected and put flowers on those graves. And we now also know that it was Neanderthalensis that did some, not all, but some of the, we'll say, the earlier artwork in the Pyrenees between France and Spain. And it wasn't just Lascaux. Okay, what would be the reason that Neanderthalensis, would have been phased out entirely 45,000 years ago, and Cro-Magnon Homo sapien sapien phased in? This is my understanding of more of the wrinkle details. Going back to 2 million years ago, if the first standing up primate was Homo erectus, it's my understanding there was nothing like Cro-Magnon Homo sapien sapien. There may have been some humanoid forms, but we are the latest model. And was Neanderthalensis taken out for any specific reason, or was it part of a conflict between 3 main intelligence groups that have competed with each other for a very long time? Tall blondes, who hate the reptilians and are always in battle, and the grays that have a lot of artificial intelligence component, and that those three have battled each other in the solar system and on this planet and out into the Milky Way galaxy. Why are we the latest model? What was it that we were supposed to fill that Neanderthal and the other models did not? And I think that is one of the most important questions to pursue, and that is, in essence, for those of us who have interviewed so many people. For me, I'm getting up to close to 2,000 people in records in the abduction experiencer phenomena. And the more I look at the whole huge pointillism of all of those nearly 2,000 interviews over the last 42 years, and what am I left with? That something that has the ability to interact directly with the language center of the human brain, that has the ability, by controlling either the brain and or the central nervous system directly, to paralyze humans, not because they want to kill us, but because we need to be controlled if we are in their presence, because we'll say all of the alien intelligence terrifies humans in the beginning. A few began to relax with some of the kinder grays, but not many. So it puts, I had this discussion with Bud Hopkins and John Mack once. It seems as if you back off from the human abduction syndrome in your mind, what is really going on between humans and what appear to be non-humans. Mm-hmm. And you always come to the same metaphor. The discussions are, when we love our cats, love our dogs, whatever it is that we have in the animal world, as most humans do, that we love and take care of. When something happens and we have to take that cat, for example, to a veterinarian, they are terrified and they do not want to go, and they know that if they are put in a cage, that's where they're going, and they will fight it and meow all the way. And then when they get to the office where the cat has to be taken out, the cats will try to claw and hold on inside of the cage, and you, with your normally gentle animal, are doing everything you can to get that cat out onto a metal table for the veterinarian to do an examination and help with whatever it is that you need to help this cat with.
Right.
And in some ways, there is a lot of that in the relationship between humans and the non-humans. And I've always wondered, and that was one of the things I remember talking with John Mack and Bud Hopkins about, why, if we are supposed to be the genetic creation of three different groups manipulating the DNA and already evolving primates that end up with a series of humanoids, and then we get to us, and if we are advanced, if we are the most advanced of the standing up humanoids that they have made, why would we be so terrified of them? Why wouldn't it be an instantaneous recognition of those that have been here for 270 million years? Mm-hmm. Why would we, as evolving humanoid primates on this planet with much more brain capacity, why wouldn't meeting these three different groups of ETs or being introduced to them have been a very natural next step in planetary affairs, instead of have been kept secret all of the evolution of the last 45,000 years, And one of the complaints is, whether you're talking with an abductee or an investigator, why have they always kept humans in the dark? Who does that?
I can tell you right now who has the answer. Your cat.
On that level, my cat can look at me and I could give an answer. And the frustration is, why aren't we being dealt with straightforwardly by advanced intelligences that interact with this solar system and this planet?
Right.
What is it that they need or that they feel that they must keep from us in order to keep sustaining whatever programs they are doing? And then you come to, there's no way around this. If you're honest about a big part of the human abduction syndrome has been the extraction of sperm and the extraction of eggs. Mm-hmm. And there have been explanations to humans that they need to clone bodies. And the cloned bodies, whether it's by reptilians, blondes, or the grays, are used as camouflage to move among us.
Well, and Linda, we need to take our break right here, but this is the other thing that's so fascinating about this entire subject. And it's this. Humans, us, you and I, we're not designed to live here. Right? We've got no hair on our bodies. We've got no fat. We can't exist out in the elements. Animals can. They're designed to do that.
And
we have to. Yeah, that's
humans
right.
are so allergic to Earth.
It's so funny. We're not even supposed to be here. It's weird. It's like we're designed for another planet. Let's take our break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Linda Moulton Howe. We have got a lot to get through tonight. I promise we will do our best. Right, Linda? We're going to do our best.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Yes. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Linda Moulton Howe. Lots to talk about tonight. Now, you can go over to Earthfiles.com, get registered, check out all of Linda's important work. Just so much information over there. I told Linda today, that's where I go every day when I need my stuff for this show. That's where I go. I go to Earthfiles. Now, Linda, so much to discuss, and I almost want to start with Monday in the DODIG, but we're not. I want to back up. Early last month on April 9th, Jeremy Corbell and the rest of the media around the world jumped on this video that Corbell said was leaked to him. I think it was given to him, but we'll go with leaked for now. But anyway, of this flying pyramid. And I want to know what went through your head when you first looked at this video. What did you think?
Well, I used it in a segment in my Earthfiles YouTube channel and said on the air that it appears not to be a pyramid shape as much as a triangle. I could not understand, unless there is more video that has not been released, in which you would see a side profile and that there would be a rise going up vertically that would be like a pyramid. So I am not certain why that word pyramid was used on that particular tape. And the other thing that you mentioned as well, it has a flashing light associated with the green triangle. And triangles have been reported in the sky in the UFO phenomena for a very long time. I did a bunch of searches trying to see if there were any something I've missed that would be UFOs shaped like pyramids, just those simple kinds of searches. And I never could find anything that came up with a pyramid 3-dimensional craft. What about you? Did you ever find anything?
Well, you know what? Why would you ask me that? Okay, I have to answer honestly. I photographed something back in 1995 in Monterey, California, on a beach. I was with some friends, Linda, and I have the picture. It's a 35 millimeter shot. I have the negative, and it was this thing in the sky, high, 50,000 feet in the clouds, a black dot shooting across the sky. My friend saw it first, and we were on the beach taking pictures of us on the beach. There was like 4 of us. So anyway, I took the camera and I grabbed a shot, and by the time I wound the camera, remember you had to wind them, and right. By the time I wound it for the second shot, I looked at it, it had stopped, and then it went straight up into the blue sky, into the atmosphere, and was gone. It was pretty incredible. Well, anyway, I forgot about the picture, and months later, when I developed the film, I put a jeweler's loop on it because I saw the black dot in the cloud, and I put a jeweler's loop on it, and Linda, it looks like a pyramid, right? I mean,
well,
it's
I'm
crazy.
not saying it doesn't exist, but it is not something that
it's not common.
Out.
No,
not at all.
And Linda, I've showed this picture to people and have described it as to what I see as a flying pyramid. And now, although I've been critical about Jeremy's description of this, because you're right. It's not 3D. There isn't something that shows dimensionality there. It's a 2D image. And when I have shown my picture to other people, they see a black triangle. They don't see what I perceive as a pyramid. So there you go. The flashing light part of it, you've been investigating for a very long time. Yeah. Now, what about a flying pyramid with aircraft lights? What about that search?
It is a very strange description, and I'm curious, did you have Jeremy Corbell on one of your programs and ask him specifically why he's using the word pyramid?
Okay, there's a yes and no to that answer. Last week we had Richard Dolan on the show, and Jeremy had texted Richard that the pyramid description came from a crew member. Okay, now that's all I've got. And Richard read that text on the air.
And it would mean that you'd have to be up in altitude on some sort of a horizontal plane with such a craft in order to know that it rose up and was not just the triangle you would see from below.
Yeah. I'm a little perplexed with the pyramid description. And there's another part, though. I wanted to ask, with the ebb and flow of journalism, right? We're in this 1-minute news cycle. This video, which blew up all around the world, also died as quickly as it took off. Is that because, no pun intended, by the way, is that because most people looked at it and didn't see a flying pyramid, maybe saw the aircraft lights and said, well, I think this is something that's pretty explainable, and it just died on the vine? Yes.
A lot of people emailed me saying, I've seen a lot more dramatic UFO video or infrared than this. Why is this now being an example of a next sort of level of, are we now going to get the truth out that we're not alone in this universe? And so I think that it impressed. But moving toward this whole question of what is happening between the 180-day countdown that we have all been hoping will actually end up with a crack in the headline that we're not alone in the universe. And here, the New Yorker, somebody who's been around for a long time publishing, They even said, in June, the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense are expected to deliver a report about what the government knows on the, and they do not say what is in the actual bill. What is in the actual bill is advanced aerial threats associated with foreign adversaries. They just lumped all of it under unidentified aerial phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
But the next sentence coming from the standpoint of the New Yorker is, they said, this is a shocking turn of events. Now, to you and me and all of us who have been investigating and know from military, from intel, from ranchers, from all over the planet, that people have not only been encountering beams coming from craft of various shapes for a very long time. People have seen animals rise in beams of light over pastures where animals have been found mutilated, that going back to World War II, there were stories about silver discs and glowing lights that ran circles around various airplanes, something that was called Foo Fighters, but they didn't know what it was. And eventually we know that Churchill and Eisenhower and FDR and Truman and all of that began to talk with each other, that what they were dealing with had to be in a category of not human technology because of what it could do. And this is where it gets very important into what Lou Elizondo, originally from TTSA and now has been on a variety of interviews, when he talks about the 5 basic observables that, from his point of view, are the setting all of the phenomena, regardless of whether it's triangular shaped, whether it is disc shaped, sphere shaped, pie wedge shaped, whatever the shape, they all seem to do the same thing, and he breaks it down into instantaneous acceleration in which the UFO or UAP have been monitored by military technology going up to 600 Gs. If you take something that is like a high-end jet and it goes up, maybe it can get to 17 Gs versus 600, just 17. And you would, Blackbird, if you went to 17 Gs and stayed there, you know what would happen. The wings would come off and the airplane would start coming apart at 17 Gs. Elizondo stresses that we have observations, many observations of UFO UAPs at 600 Gs, and they stop on a dime, and they can do 90-degree turns when they are at those kinds of speeds. Now, and then he goes on into how, going back for decades, that they have clocked UFO UAPs doing 13 to 15,000 miles an hour, and not just on one radar, but on multiple radars. This is fact. This is evidence. This cannot be a human in an airplane.
Now, is this okay? Is this going to be in the UAP Task Force report for the Senate Intelligence Committee, or is the evidence that they are going to see is this flying pyramid video from Jeremy Corbell, which allegedly, according to the Navy, is part of this report? And if this is the best that they are going to see, we've got a problem.
Well, now let's just go to the bigger question and mystery that is evolving. Why on May 3rd, this is May 6th,
right?
Why on May 3rd, this is the day I got this in my email from a friend of mine who works in one of the intel agencies back east. And it's been circulated now, but that's where I got my copy. And it is Inspector General, Department of Defense in Alexandria, Virginia. Memorandum for distribution, subject: evaluation of the DoD's actions regarding the unidentified aerial phenomena. Quote, we plan to begin the subject evaluation in May 2021. Well, we are still in the 180-day countdown that was in the COVID funding bill, that from the signature on December 27th, 2020, go forward 180 days. It's specified in the funding bill, 180 days, that's June 24th, 2021, next month. And we are still in the process of waiting to see what the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence both specified in the COVID bill as the two that would collaborate on a presentation that would go to legislators and to the American public. And in this part of the bill, it specifically designates that the information that is wanted is about, and this is underlined in this section of the bill, advanced aerial threats, and a few sentences later, associated with foreign adversaries, leaving the impression that the foreign adversaries is not intended to be China, North Korea, or Russia. So advanced aerial threats and foreign adversaries being directed to for the Secretary of State and the DNI to present information about those subjects to the congressional representatives and to the American people. If that alone was something that we have been looking forward to, hoping that this would finally open up, we're not alone in the universe. Why, on May 3rd, dated May 3rd, is the Inspector General in Washington or Alexandria, an IG investigation is usually because something has gone wrong, right? And when you read this first paragraph, we plan to begin the subject evaluation in May 2021. That's now. The objective of this evaluation is to determine the extent to which the DoD, that's the Department of Defense, has taken actions regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, in parenthesis UAP.
Key word being actions. Key word right there.
Yes, and we may revise the objective as the evaluation proceeds, and we will consider suggestions from management for additional or revised objectives, and that this will be performed in an evaluation of, and listen to this, offices of the Secretary of Defense, military services, combatant commands, combat support agencies, defense agencies, and the military criminal investigative organizations.
Stop right there. Stop right there.
How are they going to do that in a day or two?
Stop right there. Stop right there. That last mention, military criminal investigations. What's that all about? You know.
Well, somebody suggested to me that they had heard that among people in the aisles of our Congress, that they were saying, if this unidentified aerial phenomena is as real as people are saying, why weren't we told all of this long ago?
Right.
And I would agree that we should have been told all of this in World War II. But suddenly, Jimmy, I think that a shootout at the Old Corral is beginning to take place here, and that where we had hoped that this would not become partisan, that we were actually going to enter a phase where there would be an honest report as far as they would go from the SecDef, Secretary of Defense, and the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, honestly, about unidentified aerial phenomena / UFOs in the categories of advanced aerial threats and foreign adversaries, because that's what the bill calls for. Now, with this insertion of the IG report, which usually you don't get IG things like this unless there is something is wrong, why would this occur in May before we get to June, before there's been a chance for us to even see what the DNI and the SecDef would have presented?
There is, let me ask you this question. Is there a possibility? Now, I'm putting myself in the IG's head, okay? I'm in the IG's head for a second. And I'm watching the news, and I'm seeing Tucker Carlson, and I'm hearing about Susan Gao and these, the Tic Tac and the Roosevelt and the Nimitz, and now off the coast of San Diego with the Ellis and flying pyramids. And I'm thinking about, wait a minute. There's a lot of chatter that is going on right now, and nothing has been done. I have heard no reports of something being shot at. If it's Russia or China invading our airspace, that's an act of war. I need to know what's going on here. Is this little green men? Is it this? What are we doing? And the IG wants answers. And if you look, Linda, the next line in that paragraph, where they want the names in the next 5 days, going from Monday, in the next 5 days of everybody who needs to be interviewed. GS-15, that's the top of the top, the tippity top of civilian government employees, captains and colonels. They don't want to hear from anybody else. They want to hear from the heads
Jimmy,
of...
That's why I said this is not going to be done in 2 days.
No.
What has been thrust into the 180-day countdown is a Leviathan whale that is going to either swamp anything that was going to come out through the SecDef in 180 days, or it's going to mushroom into the biggest investigation of the UFO, UAP phenomena of all time.
Now, do you think there is a possibility, I already know your answer, but I just want to hear you say it. Do you think there's a possibility now that the June 24th date is going to be kicked down the road, that is now a pushback?
Okay, to me, if all of this is used to deflect from something being given to the American people and congressional reps by June, on or before June 24th. I know that all the cynics thought that was going to happen right from the beginning. But if you jump away from the cynic side of things to where once upon a time when I was growing up, I really honestly was raised that I was in the United States of America, a country of, by, and for the people. And it is a strong piece of the way I have felt about the United States. And in the last few years, it's become unrecognizable. And this 180-day countdown, it seemed like that they were at least laying the ground for doing something that might be honest, that what they would report, it would be a chance to honestly start opening up a dialogue with not just the American people, ultimately the global population, about what have had a lot of different names for centuries, and we know them more colloquially as UFOs and defined as extraterrestrial biological entities by our own government, and that if this COVID funding bill, and at Earthfiles, I have the original pages with all of the direction to the SecDef and DNI. I did that on January 11th. For those of you who would like to go and see everything in great detail, go to my January 11th Earthfiles. It's all there with the red lines under what was there originally to come out on or before June 24th, 2021. And now it's as if everything that is happening currently is saying it doesn't matter whether we have our representatives put together a funding bill and put in a direct request for the Secretary of Defense and for the Director of National Intelligence to provide information both to legislators and to the American people. That it can be easily, with one huge arm swipe, knocked away. What kind of government are we in?
The timing of all of this, Linda, I find really suspect. The IG, the leaking of these videos 2 weeks ago, and the images, and if you go back to December of 2017, and the Go Fast and the gimbal, the Tic Tac videos, where there's been a lot of leaking. There is a leak in the dam, right? Somewhere, all of this is happening at the same time, and it seems like it's a little out of control. I don't know if the IG is trying to rope it back in. Is this report, the UAPTF report to the Senate Intelligence Committee, is it too much too soon? Are they trying to rope this in? I'm not so sure, but everything is happening at the same time, Linda, and there's a reason for it.
Well, and I think you and I would be on the same square, that we feel that it is so long overdue for this government, if no one other government on the world is going to do it first, because Russia could and China could and a bunch of could, is that we need to break through this huge lie that we are alone in this universe. We need to break it open to start having some more healthy dialogue between humans with each other, as well as governments and power brokers, about the fact that there is a completely other reality that has been kept from evolving humans.
It's so interesting, and I don't know about the broken hearts. I'm talking about the UFO community that have been thinking about this UAP task force report, and here we are. We've got Marco Rubio and everybody talking about this. We are right here. And A, what if the report gets delayed? Or B, that the report doesn't have anything at all about ET or contact?
It would mean that congressional representatives have absolutely no power or meaning in the United States anymore.
Linda Moulton Howe, right there. Let's take our break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. It's Linda, and we are going through all of the recent headlines that have gone down, well, since April 9th. We're going to focus on that. More of the conversation after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com. This is Jimmy Church, and I'll be at the UFO MegaCon this June 6th through the 12th, 2021 in Laughlin, Nevada. The Laughlin UFO MegaCon is unique. It's 7 days of education and disclosure. It's unlike all other UFO conferences. The Laughlin UFO Mega Conference specializes in bringing you new people, offering new information and disclosure. All of this is offered at prices so low you can actually afford to be there. For instance, 7-night hotel packages, 1 or 2 people, start at just $320 inclusive. Education and disclosure is why the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference exists. Join us for all 7 days, or a half a week, or just a day or two, but join us. Go to LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com. Register now. The only thing keeping you from being with all of us is you. Daily live streaming now available worldwide. It's this June 6th through the 12th. Just go to LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com. Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Linda Moulton Howe. What a great week we've had on the show. And having Linda on with us on Thursday night to finish out the week, it's a perfect night for us. And I want to continue the conversation, Linda, talking about the UAP task force and their expected report. What do you think is going to be in this report?
I had hoped there would be truth. Advanced aerial threat. You could say they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and that they have ever since that title was put in the COVID funding bill as the main thrust of what they wanted the Secretary of Defense and the Director of National Intelligence to report about. And some people argue, well, by making it an advanced aerial threat associated with foreign adversaries, if they decide at the last minute to avoid anything about extraterrestrial biological entities, other dimensionals, timeline, holographic, all of it, they can easily do a report about China, Russia, and North Korea. And that is the cynical view that I was saying. If they don't open this up now because of the 180-day countdown, with a direct request from Congress to the Secretary of Defense and to the DNI, then it is a back-of-the-hand dismissal of congressional reps that the SecDef and the DNI can basically just ignore and they can set in motion. Maybe they're the ones who set in motion like a backfire in a forest fire, the Inspector General report. And to make some of this point even stronger, it was 2 weeks ago I ended a 2-week, 2-part with Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso from a very long, wonderful interview that I had done with him and with Art Bell on the 50th anniversary in Roswell, where we all had gathered, and it was in the day that I did the interview with Colonel Corso, and Art Bell was hosting, was on July 7th, 1997. And during that interview, it went on for about 3 hours. And I did a 2-part series at my Earthfiles YouTube channel with some of the best. And you get to hear Colonel Corso talking about his discussions with General Arthur Trudeau, who was the first head of research and development in the Army, handpicked by the General Eisenhower he knew during World War II, who became president of the United States. Eisenhower respected Trudeau so much. Trudeau had a PhD in electronic engineering, and Trudeau and Corso had met in Italy during the war. So you had 3 men, President, Colonel Corso being tapped by Eisenhower's new director of research and science development in the Pentagon, Arthur Trudeau, and he tells about the day that the General Trudeau, asked him, Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso, to come to his office in the Pentagon, to Trudeau's office, and that he had metal file drawers lined up against a wall. And he got up from behind his desk and walked Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso over to one of them and opened up one of the drawers. And inside, Lieutenant Colonel Corso said, "I didn't recognize anything I was looking at." And then General Trudeau said, "These are some of the pieces that we have gathered from UFO crashes." And what he wanted Colonel Corso to do was hand carry to the heads of various select corporations that General Trudeau alone would handpick, would make the initial contact. Colonel Corso would take the technology that included laser, that included transistors, that included semiconductors, that included all kinds of advanced technologies that he didn't recognize in that file drawer. And he lists on page 115 in his invaluable book, The Day After Roswell, that came out that July of 1997, he lists a dozen of the technologies that would end up being developed and patented in corporations because of this plan by General Trudeau, that this is how they were going to keep the extraterrestrial technology out of the hands of their human enemies. They would make sure that no one in the corporations knew that what they were working on was extraterrestrial technology, but they would get it back engineered, and then they would get it patented, and then they would make commercial application, whether it was in weapons, military, or eventually into consumer markets. And that was the big plan, and it's all laid out in that 1997 book, The Day After Roswell. And he put in much more than the list of back engineering extraterrestrial. He never backed away from it being ET technology. He also included tremendous details of his discussions with General Trudeau about animal mutilations, human abductions. They knew about it all. They talked about it all. If Colonel Corso could release that book, The Day After Roswell, with all of this detail that is honest in 1997, Jimmy, why can't the current government of the United States tell us everything in 2021?
Why do you, exactly, and do you think, let's say we stay on schedule, Okay, June 24th, this report gets released. Do you think that the Senate Intelligence Committee, after reviewing the report and going through that, do you anticipate them calling witnesses? Maybe hearing from some pilots and hearing from the military directly?
Well, that would have been healthy, wouldn't it? That would have been completely healthy. That would have expanded whatever it is that they got in paper from the SecDef and the DNI, and allegedly, according to the pages that I have from the COVID funding bill, the American people were supposed to also receive reports. Now, what's happened, that's a very natural step. It would have led maybe to open congressional hearings. Imagine that. Having weeks of open congressional hearings about extraterrestrial technology, back engineered under President Eisenhower, General Trudeau, in the hand deliverer of Lieutenant Colonel Philip J. Corso, and that they give the reasons why they didn't want the world to know what they were doing then, but this is a different century. We are headed toward Mars. We're going to have a base on the moon. We know that we are dealing with many different types of other intelligences, and this is the time to open it all up. And if Colonel Corso could do as much as he did in the day after Roswell, why isn't the same kind of energy and desire to finally open this up the active principle instead of an IG report with implied threats inserted in the first week of May?
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, Linda, Marco Rubio sitting up there, you know, they're playing the Flying Pyramids video, right there, and he's able to, whoever shot that video, ask that person directly, why is this a flying pyramid? What did you see? We need to hear those answers, right? We need to hear directly from them.
From the pilot.
Yes.
We need to hear from the pilot.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
And then I have to assume that if the only little tiny short piece of video that Corbell released is just a little tiny fraction, that there would be tons of all kinds of stills and video and infrared showing if it is a pyramid, then it's on everything that we are not being allowed to see. And that's the part that seems to me that needs to end. Why are we being always treated with policies of denial and secrecy?
Now, there has been a lot of chatter. I know you've heard the same chatter. There's been a lot of chatter over a big chunk of 2020 and this year about this mysterious photograph of a black triangle coming out of the ocean that has been circulated in intelligence reports through different agencies, and a lot of concern behind this image. I have talked to only two people that have seen the image. I haven't seen it. I don't know if you have, but the chatter's out there. Is this image, which is supposed to be the end-all, be-all, right? Is this image going to be part of the report? And is this something that Marco Rubio is going to see? The Flying Pyramid video, that's not conclusive. But is there something else that they are going to see? Or maybe they've already seen?
You and I know that there are thousands of feet of film, video, various infrared, photographs. What our government has is astonishing. And the idea that they're playing cat and mouse around a few frames, no, this is part of the game. The pilots themselves should be in open hearing talking about what it is they've seen with their own eyes. Jump back all the way to around 2004 or 5 when I got to Albuquerque. I was approached by a man who had been in the Navy. He knew about my work, had seen one of my books, and he said, I want you to know what happened to me, and it is a very long story, and all I'm going to say is that when he was in the Navy, in an island during a Thanksgiving, that one of his buddies had access to the safe that had all the top secret documents. And even though they're not supposed to do it, the guy who had the clearance and the access said to the man who's talking to me, "Come here, I want you to see something." And there were photographs. They were black and white, 8x10 photographs of the gray beings laid out inside of a hangar at Roswell, New Mexico. One of the photographs was a close-up on the suction pads that we know are on the fingers of many of the gray types. Why they are not on all of them is, I think, related to the fact that the grays are a menagerie of artificial intelligence and some are organic. And the photographs were what all of us would like to see. And he and this guy, there must have been a monitoring even in that safe going all the way back. This goes back about 40 years. And they got in trouble. Just looking at those photos, they got in real trouble. And later on, he wasn't drummed out of the Navy, but he ended up in a new position in Virginia. And part of his work was for a quote-unquote space commander, and he didn't even know that we had a space command going back to the end of the 80s to the early 90s, and he got out of the Navy in the 90s. And he said that he got a order from this 3-star in Virginia to come to see, that wanted to talk with him about the photographs that he had seen that had been in these, I guess, discipline reports and other things, including this same guy talking to me said when he was back in the United States working off the coast, and before the Space Command guy asked him to come in and have a discussion, that he had been on a craft at night. It was a 2 o'clock in the morning shift. And that he went to his shift position and was standing near some pole of some sort, leaning against it, relaxed, just looking out at the water in work. And that something, he said, had to have been at least 50 feet in diameter and circular. Suddenly came off no more than 50 feet off from where he was leaning against the pole on this big craft. And he said it was... water was coming off. It had some kind of a bizarre shimmer, like a field around it, and that he screamed. He couldn't take his eyes off of it. He screamed for people to come, and other people saw it too. Have you ever heard of anything like this? Have you ever seen photos like this? Well, I have had people describe these kinds of firsthand scenes of things coming out of the water in military positions a lot. Our government has known about this going back to World War II. So the fact that they might have one cat and mouse play with one photo that is being dangled as this will be revolutionary, it's not going to even come close to the discussion, the sketches of the guy that is in a film that I did in my Earthfiles website. It stays there. So to me, I look at it as a game that is now being played about who's got which photo that is going to blow this open. They have thousands of photos.
The 3 images that were also, I'm going to go air quotes, Linda, for you, leaked to George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell. Okay, they're cool. But the one image that Knapp has labeled the blimp, that's a pretty interesting image. The other ones, I'm not so intrigued by. We've seen stuff like that before. But that blimp image, I don't know why they're calling it a blimp. But
isn't it in the kind of, we'll call it tic-tac style, meaning something that does not have wings, does not have a tail, does not have ailerons, does not have wheels, anything that does not have any of those pieces that we associate with being necessary to move in the Earth's atmosphere in something we would call a plane or a jet, that if you've got something that just looks like it's a smooth surface and it's oval, and that's what a lot of the UFO phenomena is, and can go at 7,000 or 13,000 miles an hour and turn 90-degree turns. That's why that shape is so significant.
I think one of the pilots said that they circled around the blimp image, whatever that is, for 20 or 30 minutes. Now that's, to be in a jet, to be in a fighter jet, and to circle around something for 30 minutes, you don't know what that is. You're trying to identify it. That's a very intriguing image, and we need to hear from that pilot. I want to know why he was able to fly around it for 30 minutes, right? That's one thing. Was it moving? Why is it called a blimp? Was it some crazy balloon? I don't know.
Remember when David Fravor, the very skilled Navy pilot, 17 years, and he's got the FLIR image of what they called the Tic Tac when it came out December 16, 2017, on the front page of the New York Times. And the Tic Tac, think about it. They only used that because it was something that would put an image in a human mind of being oval-shaped, absolutely perfect surface, and nothing else on it. We would not know how to fly a Tic Tac shaped object at 13,000 miles an hour.
I'm very interested with this, and if the Senate is interested with the DIA and with the instructions to present to the Senate Intelligence Committee, what is it? Are they going to bring their best stuff? Are they going to bring their best stuff? Are these images the best or is there something else? And then, Linda, there's the public side of this report, and then there is the confidential section of this report as written in the bill.
Yes, and now there is also the surprising IG. It feels like a kind of an attack.
How so?
Because they're coming in to do all the investigations of all those agencies, and essentially the implication is the IG is going to be addressing some kind of a complaint. That's what IGs do.
Yeah, that's what they do. I'm wondering
so if some congressional people have said, why haven't we heard about this before? Is it now setting up the stage for there to be like a spear thrown into the side of the 180-day countdown? Is it being done deliberately in order to sidetrack the 180-day countdown?
Right.
I think that if that's the case, then it is such a sad comment on the state of the government. Because right now they had a healthy 180-day countdown that people all over the place keep writing to me about. The genuine, honest interest, and they could have used this without any muddying of the waters. They could have used this as, finally, yes, we're not alone in the universe. Yes, we know that there are adversaries, but there are also friendlies and neutrals, and now we're going to start opening up to you what we know.
Now,
that would have been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be headed towards a break. I want to set up what I want to talk about after the break, and that is this. When you look at the DOD IG memo and that word actions, if you look at it from a military lens, right, we put on military glasses for a second, do you think that the IG wants to know if we have shot at, right? Have we done anything, from the military standpoint here? Is that the reference? Do they want to know why we haven't done anything?
It is a good question, and the very literal sentence that you're referring to is the objective of this evaluation, meaning IG, is to determine the extent to which the DoD, that's the Department of Defense, has taken actions regarding unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAP.
Does that, have we, why didn't we pull the trigger? Is that, are you reading that the same way that I kind of feel that is leaning towards?
Well, the thing about it is it's difficult for me to not laugh. We have been shooting at UFOs since World War II.
I'll laugh for you. But
we have the battle, the attack or the war or battle of 1942 in Los Angeles.
Right.
That we shot 1,443 artillery shells at, or something. It's detailed. And I have interviewed the man who took that photo that is on the front page of the Los Angeles Times back in, I think it was in the end of 41, going into 42, I think, and that George Marshall was Secretary of War, and there are memos between George Marshall and FDR, and I believe the dates, I can get these and follow up, you can talk with an audience later. I think it was 42, like in that February, March area, and that the memos from George Marshall are about unidentified objects in the air that we shot at, and the shooting did nothing to them, and that we brought down one or two, I believe it says two of the craft in the Santa Monica Mountains and near San Bernardino, California. That was, we're just right at the beginning of getting into World War II, and there was that kind of event with memos about we shot down some of their craft, but we couldn't touch the big diamond. The photographer that I interviewed said he was young and he stayed up and he was watching this and taking these photographs, and he said he could clearly see that the artillery shells were not hitting the diamond. He referred to it as a diamond-shaped object.
They shot all night long. All night long from the coast of California. All night long.
Yeah. So, I mean, I bring that up because that is well covered, is a photograph of an unidentified aerial phenomena in the sky that artillery could not reach, and that was in early 42, I believe. It's late 41. I should know that date, but it's somewhere December, January, February, right there. And remember, there was a feeble attempt by somebody politically to say, oh, it's the Japanese invading again. And there was no invasion of the Japanese that night.
No, they had that thing lit up with 40 spotlights.
Yeah.
For hours, Linda, for hours.
But you can see how there have been so many situations described by pilots, and that one just happened to be photographed well, where the United States has been attacking UFOs since World War II. Len Stringfield, before he died, we had a long discussion about his book, Situation Red. He said, Linda, I was in the Air Force, and I know that we had a standing order to shoot down UFOs, but we ended up losing so many pilots trying to shoot them down, and no family was ever told the truth that it was because we were trying to shoot UFOs down. Now, there's something really important to place here. It does not mean that the UFOs ever shot back.
That's right.
It doesn't mean that that the UFOs meant any kind of a war footing with humans. It means that the human reaction in World War II was to try to shoot down UFOs, and that may have set off we'll call it a border of hostility between our planes and anything that was UFOs. And then there's a whole other phenomena you don't hear much about, but I have talked with military whistleblowers. We have had pilots literally abducted out of flying airplanes.
Hold that right there. I got to take a break. I'm writing that down. Pilots abducted. Okay, Linda, I got to hear about this. Our guest tonight, Linda Moulton Howe. This is Fade to Black. More with Linda after this short break. Stay with us.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal God, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard, available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit UnitedGoldGroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Linda Moulton Howe. I always enjoy... I'm just going to go straight to it, Linda. Linda, do we have the best conversations like in Eva?
Yeah. Yes, it's fun. And I have a correction on myself. I actually did remember it correctly. It was in February of 1942, the Battle of Los Angeles. And all of that took place between the February 24th to the 25th, all night long, of 42. And people should go and see that real photograph that was reprinted in a big page of the Los Angeles Times.
Yeah, it's an incredible photograph. I've stared at that. I mean, I've just sat and just stared at it in a trance. And wow, if I could go back in a time machine, I'd go back to February 1942, Santa Monica, California, and I would love to see what was going on that night. Wait a minute. Let's go back. You said pilots abducted while they're flying?
Yeah, it was only 11 years after the Battle of Los Angeles. And I'm looking at it right now, the most famous one, November 23rd, 1953. It's known as the Kinross incidents, because of the Kinross Air Force Base that is near and on Lake Superior. It was in that area. And this is where they had a UFO reported up in the sky, and then they had this plane with a pilot, Felix Eugene Moncla, and flew up, and on the radar, the UFO and the plane with Felix Moncla in it join into one object, and then disappeared. Another was over Colorado more recently, and I remember very much thinking when I was reading about the Colorado details, a pilot was flying over the Rockies, and he had made some kind of a radio report, and then he disappeared. And that there was actually concern about had this man had a heart attack, there was some sort of a flight plan, there was a news story about what happened to this pilot, and that he was never found, and neither was the plane. There have been incidents also of disappearing planes over the Bermuda Triangle, the famous triangle off the coast, east coast of Florida. And then one that is a hybrid of what we've been talking about that shows up in every historic book, and that is the Captain Thomas Mantell case. This was January of 1948, so that would have been only 6 years after the Battle of L.A., and Captain Thomas Mantell was a Kentucky Air National Guard pilot, and this was another UFO report, and he was the man in the plane that was going up to identify. And what happened was something bad. The plane and his body ended up, I believe it was covering like a mile or so of crash debris. And the most interesting thing that I ever heard about, and I believe I talked about this with J. Allen Hynek before he died, asking him, was it true that millimeter size, 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 millimeter size holes were found like crater all over the metal of the Mantell plane that went down. One report that is still not clear to me is whether or not his body at the scene of all of the crash debris had also holes. And I've never heard the definitive explanation would it have been some kind of a frequency, maybe some kind of microwave beam that would have been directed from the huge, remember he said it was about the size of a football field, 300 feet.
Yeah,
big silver disc.
I always pictured lasers. I don't know why, but I always pictured lasers because they never described it as bullet holes. You know,
No.
right?
These are thousands.
Right.
Is the way I understand.
Right.
Thousands all over, and 1 to 3 millimeters. Think of a ruler, a 1 millimeter, like maybe your eyelash. One eyelash
Right.
maybe might be 1 millimeter wide. So we're talking about extremely small crater holes all over that plane.
Yeah, I always pictured lasers. That's always what went through my mind. Now, Linda, and by the way, Captain Mantell, veteran pilot, he knew about altitudes. He knew what he was doing. He knew that he was probably going up a little bit too high, but he was in a chase, you know, and he saw what he saw. He described what he saw. The people on the ground knew what he was doing, and ultimately lost his life. And that is a puzzling case.
And so did Moncla over Lake Superior out of Kinross.
Now, I want to talk about New Mexico for a second. You guys are in the news right now. You guys are in the news, Linda. Everybody is outside. I've been watching my Twitter, my email. I'm getting text. Everybody is watching these, what I guess is Starlink and Elon Musk up in the skies. And okay, hold on a minute. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Doesn't the public know what Starlink is yet?
No.
Number one.
No.
Right.
I get every single, like the cycle that Elon Musk is trying to reach several thousand of these little satellites, and he's been putting out a quantity of them every 6 weeks or something, and regularly on schedule. And I've been for this past several months, I've been trying to make sure that I know the days or nights that he puts out and emits those little satellites, and I can guarantee I'm going to have a dozen reports of UFOs. And I just have a stock email. Here is a photograph of what the Elon Musk Starlink looks like. This is, if it were not this date and time, it might not be. And it just is part of the education of our planet now on so much stuff that's happening in the space around us in the upper atmosphere that people are not used to thinking.
Now, why? Okay, now here's the other part. Let's talk about the mass media for a second. Everybody's watching Twitter, social media, all the videos, all the photographs, people freaking out. I watched a thread today. I watched a thread, Linda, today go from 100 to 500 to 2,000 comments and photograph, and everybody losing their minds, and nobody stepping in going, hey, it's Starlink. The media is not saying anything. Shouldn't there be a little bit of a public service message here? By the way, there's going to be a Starlink launch tonight. Everybody don't freak out.
Yeah, I think we should be doing that, and that would be a part of the evolution of our planet, becoming much more educated about space, about the universe, and about other intelligences, and that it's like the disconnect between people having no knowledge about the Elon Musk distribution of these little satellites. It is a comment on the fact that there has been so little honest information about anything related to space, and whether it's been on the public side or the military side. We have just lived on a planet where humans just were not supposed to be involved, I guess, with what the universe is that we're in and what is our relationship to it. And Elon Musk going to Mars, when he said that he will have a goal of getting 1 million people in base or bases in Mars by 2030, that's only 9 years from now. And he is single-handedly, between Starlink and the launches and being the traffic person getting us to the moon and back all the time now, and then next on Mars, he is the person who might think about doing something to start trying to help the Earth understand what he's doing. And what is Starlink, and why is it going to have an impact on all things related to digital media? That's part of what the goal is.
I was watching one of these videos. It was shot in Albuquerque, by the way, last night. And I'm watching the video, and look, I'm going to be straight. If I didn't know about Starlink, and I'm out in a parking lot coming out, dinner with my family, and I look up and I see that, I lose my mind. I'm watching the video of the deployment, right? And it's it's beautiful. It's unreal. It's but you should hear what everybody is saying. There's a crowd there. And nobody said it's Starlink. Everybody was talking about a UFO invasion, right? They were screaming, and it was amazing to see, but there was nobody there to tamp down the emotions. These people were freaking out.
Maybe part of it is that all young people that I know, every one of them in teens and 20s, they have the same question I have. Why aren't we being told the truth that we're not alone in this universe? In other words, it's already a paradigm shift, I believe, in the young people. They're already there. That there's other intelligences. UFOs are real. They don't need to go through any kind of revolution. And maybe they're the ones who they want it to happen so badly that that they're making emotional reactions to a straight line of lights in the sky. I can't second guess the reason why, because to me it's far more interesting that this is a human project that is going on high above our heads on a regular basis. And if we just stay up with the date and the time that Musk is doing the release, we can all, if there are no clouds, we can go out and see if we're in an area where that straight line of satellites is going to pass over.
Have you seen it yet yourself?
Not outside in the night sky. I've watched many videos. I get them submitted to me from people like what you're talking about. And I know that it's, and then I always double check. I always double check to see if he's done a launch, and every single thing that's been sent to me, I can.
You can correlate it. Yeah, you can correlate it. I haven't seen it either. I want to go and just look up and see Starlink. I mean, that's just got to be crazy town. Now, okay. Now let's. I want to back up a little bit, and I want you to remember your emotions in 1969, 1970, 71, 72 with the Apollo program and how exciting that was. Yeah. And then 2 days ago, the SN-15 from SpaceX, the Mars, the Mars ship, right, that is destined for Mars, to launch and go up 6 miles and do the acrobats, the moves, and then turn around and land in Texas. What went through your mind?
Yay! We're going to make another big leap toward Mars. That's what he was hoping that he could demonstrate. And I am very enthusiastic for it all to come out, that we are not alone, that there are other intelligences. They are here based inside our planet. They have a base themselves inside our moon. They have a base inside of Ganymede, and that we are going to go to Mars, and we will have be in a base ourselves in a lava tube underground. That is the most intelligent thing to do. And eventually, maybe there will be some kind of inner solar system meeting on Mars that will seal, finally, the evolution of Earth coming into the truth that we're not alone and never have been. And that is part of the, I think, we'll call it the two-step dance, 1 foot forward and 2 back always about UFOs in terms of telling the world the truth. Another question that interests me, though, is why do you, Jimmy, think that the head of China or the head of Russia don't just make the announcement themselves? They've got craft and bodies just like the United States does.
Certainly. And I think about, what China's doing, what we're calling the dark side of the moon. It's actually lit up all the time. It's facing the sun. But what did they? We have got no imaging. They haven't shown us anything from the other side of the moon, and that is intriguing.
There are structures.
That's right. I find that they're keeping that to themselves. Well, okay. I think this is just opinion only, but I would think that the subject is so important to China, to Russia, and the United States. I think there's constant communication that they are. And do you remember? Let's go back to like Skylab. You remember when Skylab and Soyuz and Apollo? You remember when Apollo and Soyuz came together? They opened the hatch. Yeah. And the astronauts went and shook hands on live television. You remember that, right? Okay.
U.S. and Russians can be friends.
Right. All in the middle of the Cold War. We were not friends on the surface, right? We were not.
We were out there.
We were out there. And so I would think that this subject is so important that they're trying to wrestle with and come to grips with. I think that we're always communicating about that, and I think that the science community and the intelligence community, not the military, not the geopolitical side, but underneath that communication is way too important, and I think that continues, and that I think that's why. I would think that if it wasn't geopolitically correct, then Putin would just go right at it. He would announce it.
Let me put another pawn on the 16-layer chessboard.
Sure.
When Chaim Eshed in Israel, the famous physicist there, released his book a few months ago, and I did an interview with one of the reporters who had interviewed him in my Earthfiles YouTube channel. And the reporter from Israel was surprised when Chaim Eshed said that the reason that the governments had not told everybody that we're not alone, that there are extraterrestrials, a whole lot of different kinds, and the whole shebang, was because the ETs had requested the human political brokers to not tell humans. And I wondered what exactly was behind his thinking that was the answer to the silence.
It's a very interesting question and point. I let me ask you this, and I said this last week to Richard Dolan. I keep bringing up Dolan because the three of us are really close friends, and we talk about this stuff all the time. So I want your opinion on this. When it comes to let's say Marco Rubio or the head of the CIA, the current director of the CIA, and they open up a file folder and they see an image, they see a report that scares them so much, scares the crap out of them, Linda, about the reality of the situation, right? The enormity of the situation, that they will never talk about it, that they will never. You know what I mean?
I just think in the whole big scheme of the yin and yang universe,
right,
that lying, policies of deceit,
right,
to an entire planet. There are almost 8 billion people, 7.8 billion people on planet Earth. And for how many years? 5,000, 10,000, 12,000 if you go back to Göbekli Tepe.
Mm-hmm.
Humans have never been told the truth by the so-called power brokers. In any country, in any place, it has always been the secrets of, let's say, some of the Middle Eastern secret groups and perhaps the Masonic lodges going back, that they've known that there were others from other planets, but the general human population was never to be told. Why would that be the key going forward into the 21st century? Why would keeping the human population still dumb and blind about the truth of this universe?
Okay.
Why would it be operative? And isn't that an abuse of us as a species to keep us dumb and blind? And if the answer that is always thrown out, well, the religions would be hurt and the stock market would crumble, I do not think that that is at all relevant in 2021.
Now, let me ask you, this is a very personal question, but it's exactly what you're referring to. You, Linda Moulton Howe, sat down in an office at Kirkland Air Force Base, and you were presented documents. And those documents, let me set this up because I have a question at the end. Okay. And so you read the most incredible stuff that you have ever read. It's right there. It's in black and white. And you are told, can't copy it, can't do that, but you can read it, make your mental notes. And you do. And the contents of those documents are the most earth-shattering historical notes like in ever. Right. Now, you are presented with this situation, Linda. Do you walk out of Kirkland now? What went through your head? Are you about to go on the news? Are you going to do something with the New York Times? Are you going to announce this to the world? What do you do with that information?
Never been so excited in my life, feeling that I'm finally reading the real truths. Extraterrestrial biological entities manipulated DNA in already evolving primates to create Homo sapien. A literal sentence in that paper. Another, all questions and mysteries about the evolution of Homo sapien on this planet have been answered, and this project is closed, and all the other projects had to do with our government studying things having to do with extraterrestrials. I never have been so excited about anything. And then...
there was... what about Jesus? Jesus, right? You had the whole religious side of things that are in these documents.
It said a being... That's what it said. A being had been created by the extraterrestrial biological entities to be brought to this planet to teach Homo sapien about love and nonviolence. That's what it said.
Right.
And I looked at and got up and said to Dodie, we're talking about Jesus Christ here. And his face turned red and he remained silent. I understood later that everything was videotaped. And the thing about it to me is that there's nothing that I read as exciting and being in the revelation category that would make me want to run away, feel fear, feel that this strong pressure that I have lived with since I was a little child, that I associate with my soul, that my being a human being with a soul on a planet and learning that there are hundreds of thousands of planets throughout this vast 3 trillion galaxy universe, that there are all kinds of life. That's the inevitable part to me. That we were alone in the universe had never made any sense to me. And therefore, my wanting to be able to find ways to share this with people in a responsible way, hopefully with something that eventually the government would come forth themselves and just lay it all out. That's what I hoped, and I've tried for, that was May 25th, 1980, that A Strange Harvest was broadcast, and then it was April 9th, 1983, that I was at Kirtland seeing that briefing paper, allegedly for Jimmy Carter. And later on, it's very interesting. If that was what I was reading, the briefing paper for Jimmy Carter, it would explain somebody I met in Washington who said that they knew that Jimmy Carter had been shown a briefing paper having to do with UFOs and ETs, and they didn't know anything about the content, but they said, Linda, you need to know that he cried for 30 minutes after he read it. Well, tears are an honest response to all kinds of information that people receive, and sometimes wanting to cry when you are finally relieved of the contradictions of being on a planet in which we are never told the truth about the universe or our relationship to the universe or how we came to actually be. And yet inside of the human soul over all of these centuries, there is a kind, I write about it in An Alien Harvest, this kind of odd existential loneliness that the Homo sapien seems to have in relationship to looking at the night sky.
Yeah,
it's
closed
been written
in.
about by poets.
Right.
As if we know.
Right.
As if there is something in us, which I think is our soul.
Right.
And to be so disconnected from the truth on purpose by power brokers who take advantage then of the ignorance, that to me is why I feel we have been an abused species. And now, 180-day countdown and more, we have a chance for all of it to start being told all of the truth. And then we, as a civilization on Earth, might begin to heal from all of the wars, all of the racial strife. All of it might begin to balance out in a new way. And I'm not being Pollyanna. I just think when a planet is immersed in nothing but policies of lies and denial and manipulation, it cannot be good for the souls in the life forms that live on that planet.
Well, you handled that information pretty well. Do you think that the rest of the planet could handle the same information that you read, or potentially what may be in the confidential section of the UAP Task Force report? Are we ready, Linda? You handled it well. You handled it. But
I think we are. I know that all of the young people everywhere up through their 20s, just based on all of the communication that I get, they are so far ahead. So there's a huge swath of the population that are saying, we know we're not alone. Give us more information and details. And then there's the bell-shaped curve as you go into people in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100s. But I am personally convinced that the entire human population is ready to be told by all religious groups, by the Vatican, by governments, by corporations, by TV news reporters, by ETs in the sky themselves. We are not alone in this universe, and we might not survive if we, as an entire population, were not brought up, finally, to the real truth, to the real dangers, to the real blessings, to the whole situation. If we're in a holographic universe, which more and more physicists are saying that we are, then we are in a universe that is being projected from another dimension, because you can't have the projector inside of the projected universe. So if this universe is projected from another dimension, and that is where we'll say astrophysics is headed, the whole planet needs to come up to speed to a huge variety of consciousnesses. And if the remote viewers are right, many of those consciousnesses are rooting for humans to grow up, evolve, be told the truth, and we start becoming cosmic, I guess you want to say, cosmically aware, cosmic citizens, not just Earth sentient.
Linda Moulton Howe. What a great way to end this conversation. I never want our conversations to end, but wow, just incredible. Now, really quick, before I let you go and say goodnight, I want you to be safe out there, and definitely go and check out Starlink. I think it's up above Albuquerque again tonight. But you do your live YouTube on Wednesdays, right? So that was last night?
Wednesday nights, 7:30 Mountain, 6:30 Pacific, 8:30 Central, 9:30 East Coast. And now we're getting communications from 46 countries. It keeps growing all of the time. And it is the most wonderful feeling to feel like the whole world is coming on Wednesday nights now, and people are coming with breathtaking firsthand information. And they help me also feel. Everybody that is coming to my Wednesday night Earthfiles YouTube channel, they're more than ready to be told whatever the truth is. We just need the whole planet to be involved in those discussions.
And one last thing, I kind of did a sneak announcement about this last week, but coming up in July, you're going to be joining me to be part of a 10-hour live stream seminar, and I'm so excited about that. And we've come up with this tentative title. It wasn't me, Linda. It wasn't me. Jimmy Church's The Best of the Best. And you are all of that. You are the best of the best, and I look forward to that. Linda, have a great night. Be safe out there, and we'll circle back like we always do in a couple of days for another conversation.
I love you, and the agape love, which we should all be sharing with each other, and that is the pressure of my soul to your soul, to all souls. If we could love each other, we couldn't kill each other.
That's what I'm talking about. Linda Moulton Howe, thank you so much. And
all right. I love you guys.
I love you right back, Linda. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Linda Moulton Howe. That was a conversation right there. That was a conversation. I'm going to take a quick break. I need some air. That was incredible. Did you hear Linda say yay? That's a soundbite right there. That's a soundbite. Linda Moulton Howe, Earthfiles.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm going to come back, and I guess I'm going to tell the story about the disappearing house. I'm going to do that for you, too. I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl, Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church, and I'll be at the UFO MegaCon this June 6th through the 12th, 2021 in Laughlin, Nevada. The Laughlin UFO MegaCon is unique. It's 7 days of education and disclosure. It's unlike all other UFO conferences. The Laughlin UFO Mega Conference specializes in bringing you new people, offering new information and disclosure. All of this is offered at prices so low you can actually afford to be there. For instance, 7-night hotel packages, 1 or 2 people, start at just $320 inclusive. Education and disclosure is why the Laughlin UFO Mega Conference exists. Join us for all 7 days, or a half a week, or just a day or two, but join us. Go to LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com. Register now. The only thing keeping you from being with all of us is you. Daily live streaming now available worldwide. It's this June 6th through the 12th. Just go to LaughlinUFOMegaConference.com. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
This is Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JamieChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Thank you, Linda Moulton Howe. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. You can follow Linda right there on Twitter at Earthfiles, and you can go over to earthfiles.com if you haven't done already. Get over there, get registered. It is one of the best websites on the entire interweb. It's a great place. Now, that was a conversation totally unscripted. That it's one of those things when I say unscripted. That Linda and I, we do this with every guest, but Linda and I just want to talk. That's it, and Linda prepares. This is what she does. She prepares. She gets paperwork together. She's just an absolute bona fide researcher, and she lays this out. We've done a lot of conferences. We've done a lot of things together. And I see how she prepares. She prepares. And she just wants things in order, and she just works really hard at that. When she comes on Fade to Black, it's her opportunity to do the exact opposite. She doesn't have to prepare. She can come on the show and just talk. And that's what happened tonight. Again, I just enjoy when Linda was on the show. That was just an incredible conversation from start to finish. So there you go. Thank you so much, Linda. It was great. Now, I want to go back to over the last couple of nights over on YouTube. The question was raised, Jimmy, tell us about the disappearing house. Well, okay, the disappearing house. I've gone over this a few times on this show over the years. Been interviewed many times, and this has come up during interviews. The disappearing house, and this is what happened. Okay, I am going to go through everything again. All right. 1982 is the year. I graduated high school. I went to go work for Bell Labs. And when I went to work for Bell Labs, I moved out. I was 18, and I moved out of my parents' house, and I moved into a small apartment on Washington Boulevard in Indianapolis, in Irvington, which is this close to downtown Indianapolis, this older community. And I moved into this small apartment. The reason why I know it was 1982, because 1981, I lived downstairs in this apartment. And then the apartment, that was a one-bedroom apartment. The apartment upstairs was a two-bedroom apartment, two-story. And I wanted that apartment. And it became available, and I moved out of that apartment, moved upstairs, and I lived upstairs in that apartment for probably about a year, 6 months to a year. And then I moved out into a house. But this incident happened when I lived in the upstairs apartment, which would have been 1982. Okay? So I know the timeline. Also, I had a very specific car at this time. I had a Toyota Corolla station wagon. Total beater car. Love that car, by the way. But on Sundays, I would go and jump in my car and drive. I would get up on Sunday morning, and if I had a free day, but that was always my plan on Sundays, and I wouldn't pick a direction. I wouldn't. I would never have anything planned. I would go on these adventures. And Indianapolis is in the middle of, especially back then, it's nothing but farmland around Indianapolis, north, south, east, and west. And so once you got outside of the city limits, and it didn't matter where you were, you're into open country. It's beautiful. It's flat, unless you go south, Brown County. But anyway, I lived on the east side of Indianapolis. And on this particular day, I decided to get on Washington Boulevard, which is US 40, and just drive until, this was the plan, drive until I was at a half a tank of gas, and then turn around and come back on the 40 and see what I could find out there. So I jump on Washington Boulevard and I head out. Now I'm going east. And I drive for a couple of hours. And I saw a couple of interesting things out on this particular trip. And when I made the U-turn to come back and head west and back to Indy, I made this U-turn where I pulled into this driveway. Anyway, this has nothing to do with the story, but this is why I made the U-turn. There was this mansion, this big mansion way back up on this hill, and it was red brick and things, and I don't know who owned it or anything like that, but I pulled into their driveway, and I stopped for a second and looked at this particular house, and it was beautiful. It was, Sunday morning and things. But I pull out I go back into reverse, and now I'm heading. But that was my U-turn point. Was this crazy house? So now I'm heading back to town, and I'm just driving, and like I said, I drove for like 2 hours in one direction. Now I'm coming back, so it went from the morning to now it's in the afternoon, and I'm guessing here, but it was probably 12 noon, 1 o'clock, and I'm pulling back into Indy after this drive, and again I'm by myself. And on Washington Boulevard, now this is now the area that I grew up in, east side of Indianapolis, Cumberland. I know everything. I know every street. I know everything. And I decide to just like pull back into my neighborhood where I grew up instead of going back to my apartment. And I make this right-hand turn on a street that I knew really well. There's a Dairy Queen on the corner there. And I make this turn. Now I'm heading up the street, and there's a section which is only right there of trees, like a little patch of woods. Everything else is cornfields. If you know this part of Indianapolis, you know what I'm talking about. But this one section, and it's by Washington Square Mall, and then you head east from Washington Square Mall. There's a couple of streets, but there's this patch. And there's also like a funeral home there, my memory says. But that's like in between. So anyway, here's the Dairy Queen. I make the right-hand turn. And I'm pulling into these trees. And as I head into the shade of these trees, immediately to my left, I see a sign, and it says "For Rent." Okay? Not a for sale sign, for rent. And I just look to my left, and I see this white house, and I slow down. It's a white house with an in-ground pool in the front yard. Now, it's a small house, small, and it's kind of weird. You know, a little in-ground pool, but nice concrete around it, and this thing, and the house for rent sign. And I drive past it, and I went, wait a minute. That's the party house, man. You know, I'm 20 years old, 19 years old. That's the party house. And I flip my car around, and I go back, and I check out the for rent sign. I was like, this is incredible. And I walk through the gates, and I walk past the in-ground pool. It wasn't very big, it was Olympic size, but it was in-ground. And I walk up to the house, and I take a look around in the front yard. I kind of look around, and then to my left, the house is in front of me, in-ground pool's over here. But to my left is a fence, and I see on the other side of the fence a little graveyard. And there was like 5 or 8 gravestones there. Kind of tripped me out. I'm thinking, well, in-ground pool, graveyard, who gives a crap? I can deal with the graveyard. Right? That's what went through my mind. So I go up to the house, and I look through there's a big window, and I look through the window, and I see like a little kitchen area. I see a fireplace. I see this front room. I see a doorway over here. It must have been to a bedroom or something. But I see this open area, see this fireplace, and I'm like, wow, this is perfect. You know, in-ground pool. Oh, man. So I run down to my car, jump in my car, and drive back home. I go back up to Washington Boulevard. My apartment's on Washington Boulevard, and I'm driving home as quick as I can. And I call up a couple of friends, and I tell them about and I drive back into my neighborhood, and I pick up Jim McCleister. I pick up, I think Kurt Stokes was with us, and there might have been a third. But I tell everybody about this house. These are my friends from high school. These are my friends today. And you got to see this house, man. It's for rent. It's got an in-ground pool. It's small, but it's right there. It's in the trees. It's over by the Dairy Queen. And so we jump in. We're all excited. I get them all pumped up. And we drive back. Now, the neighborhood that they lived in was about maybe a mile and a half from where this house is. But this is our hood. It's where we all grew up. So I pick them. We drive back, and I'm heading into the trees, and I'm just excited. And we drive, and the house is gone. We drive through the trees, and where's the house, church? Hold on, man. And I'm confused. I go back to the Dairy Queen. I turn around, and I head back, and we drive through the trees again. And now I'm in the direction where I saw the house the first time. And drive through, and it's not there. House is gone. And now I'm just like, man, there's the dairy. Here's the tree. What's going on? And the problem with this whole thing is there was only one other street to go on. And it was like probably a half mile east. But we did, we drove, and now we're like in a neighborhood. There's no woods. We drive down that street, back to Washington Boulevard, make a right-hand turn, go back to the Dairy Queen, make the right-hand turn, and drive through these trees again. The house is gone. It's gone. Now, my friends, they're not thinking disappearing house. They don't think I'm telling the truth. That I made it all up, the in-ground pool, and they're laughing. And to this day, I can't explain it. I couldn't even. Now, this is the other thing. That little graveyard, the little family plot thing, couldn't find that either. And I went back, not a whole lot, but I went back many times and drove up every single street, for miles in each direction. House is gone. It just simply wasn't there. And that's it. That's my disappearing. I have nothing. It never reappeared. I don't have it. I never got to rent it. My friends never saw it. That's the story. I to this day, I don't have an explanation for it at all. None. I have, I've got 30 seconds. I have read other accounts from people that have done very similar things in different parts of the country, their own hometown. You have to remember, places where they grew up, they know everything they know. It's the same thing for me. This is where I grew up. I lived in this part of town, the age of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then I went to Panama. I was in Panama 13, 14, 15, 16. Came back and lived in this exact part of town again until I moved to California when I was 20, 21 years old. I don't have an explanation. So there it is. That's the disappearing house story. It's what do you think? What do you think? What do you guys think? What do you think it was? I have no idea. I really don't. It was cool though. It was cool. I think it had everything to do with that graveyard, man. Fade to Black's executive producers Rita Camurian. Shows produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intros, Spaceboys, SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network, and syndication is KGRA The Planet. This is broadcast owned and copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you to Linda Moulton Howe. Great conversation tonight. Great week. I want everybody to have a safe, amazing, fun weekend. I'll see you on Monday. But right now, It's time to fade to black.